The Apple Vision Pro. What you're not going to hear from everyone else. So, the Apple Vision Pro, I think, is a step in the direction of what I'll call the Techno Totalitarian Tip-Toe. Okay, so what is that? David Icke is a man who coined the term totalitarian tiptoe. What this means is that the people with power, they just tiptoe towards where they're trying to go. They do it step by step in increments. So this latest increment in the Techno Totalitarian Tip-Toe is the Apple Vision Pro. This is an augmentation, okay? It's going to augment your reality visually. And when you consider the fact that Tesla has their first brain-computer interface patient, okay, you can imagine that just between a brain implant and a VR headset, you could have thoughts and then immediately have a response in your reality, in your visual reality. So you could visualize thoughts quicker or with more vividness than, in theory, the mind can. Okay? So we already have this technology. This technology already exists. Okay? You could call it a dream. Okay, it happens. It can happen every single night. So that's already half of our life spent, in theory, could be visualizing on nearly half of our third of our life. Let's say a third of our life, we could be dreaming. Okay, we could be utilizing this intelligence that's already formed. However, we're kind of trying to recreate the wheel here. And just want to share. So I'm really kind of been thinking a lot about the acceleration versus deceleration movement. And a lot of it comes down to really your core beliefs on what is our purpose here on this planet. And especially after viewing a documentary, I forget what it's called, but it's about the secret space program and some of the stuff that isn't necessarily highly discussed in public mainstream sort of news distributions. And I wonder, I'm starting to reconsider the accelerationist viewpoint more and more, because the sort of the deceleration, the people say, oh no, technology is going too fast, what if this, what if that, whoa, they're kind of really emotional and fear-based. Not to say there's no merit behind the emotions and fear, because that is one of the most powerful things we have as humans, is our emotions. It's like the pinnacle of power that you could possess, and just is understanding how to control and transmute and share and transmit your emotions. Okay, so are the emotions of the fear mongers of acceleration, of decelerating technology, is it based on a potential dangerous reality? I think so. Okay. However, there is a compelling argument on the other end where it's like, the purpose of humans is to expand and grow. Like, growth is life. And everywhere you look in life, more or less, that seems to be true. Environments grow to the point in which they can, and then the environment acts and balances. Nature happens. That's kind of life. There's growth, and then there's, say, war, because you can only grow so much before you start competing for resources. But we're in an interesting position because we can actually, we have a great degree of control over the amount and availability of resources. So we're not just some microorganism. We're not just some animal in the wilderness. We're actually capable of going to another planet and colonizing it. It's feasible, plausible, and actually happening as we speak. So, and then it all comes down to like, well, oh, well, if we go to another planet, then we're just going to have all the same problems. Not necessarily. You have to consider the kind of people who are going to be choosing to go over there. They're going to be on the more conscious end of the spectrum. I imagine these people aren't fond of littering. These people are probably really interested in studying science, including the limitations of the human mind. So the type of people who are going to want to go and colonize these planets, I wonder if they're not the kind of people who are actively destroying the planet. I don't know. But then it gets even deeper to the power and control systems that influence people. But this is the world we live in. So I'm starting to ramble a little bit. But I just wanted to kind of give a cautionary warning about augmented realities. Because the more and more that you augment your reality, like synthetically, the less and less you're likely to value your basic life. You can kind of, I'm thinking of kind of like same thing. You can think of like this augment as a high, like a drug. When you do the drug, ooh, feels good. Ooh, augmentation. But then, when there's a circumstance in which you're not augmenting your reality, you're going to feel not so good. You're actually going to feel shitty. You're actually going to... And then this is the beginnings of an addiction to augmentation that we're already undergoing as a species. How many people who have cell phones are like, that addiction is so powerful. If you don't have it, you're kind of like, what, you get nervous. Like, where's my phone at? Where's my phone? I need my phone. It's going to get the same way with more advanced technologies. So I see how this can be incredibly dangerous, because if we can't even really regulate the addiction problem with smartphones, not regulate from top down, but just like internally from like human to human, like if we already realize that this technology has this much power over us, how are we going to respond where it's completely immersive, where you could go, pay X amount of dollars and get put into like a virtual dream state for as long as you want, and it could feel for 100 years. You could be in sleep for 20 minutes, but it could feel like 1,000 years. How is that gonna change people's perception of reality? Like, what is that? How? We don't know, and we're kind of racing towards these things, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see the pros and cons, because I'm sure that people are gonna use the Apple Vision Pro to do some amazing things, to build stuff and to like teach and all this kind of stuff. But you always gotta look at the consequences. Okay, like smartphones are great. Look at all the cool stuff we can do: music, entertainment, information. Very practical. But what are the side effects? Okay. And there's a lot I can say on this, and I think it's of utmost importance for people to really consciously decide how they use technology and for what purpose. Because when you live life, here's a challenge to anyone. I know this is not going to... First of all, I bet you, if you're still watching this, oh my goodness, you're special. A lot of people probably by this point have clicked off. So I'm going to save the best for last. I challenge you to go X amount of time without your smartphone and a computer and see what life is like. A lot of people can't even like really understand them. Like, how can you live life? It's like, what would I do? Like, how do I talk to people? Blah, blah, blah. You start to understand community, your neighbors, your local economy. Okay, like all of these things that our society was kind of like structured around, it's now kind of almost, I wouldn't say obsolete, but it's quickly becoming that way, where we have these outdated society, like cultures and society structures that haven't kept up with the technological advances.